Hello and welcome to the second part of the Cline trilogy reviews. Not only will I be reviewing Survival of the Fittest, I will be looking at a bonus adventure included on this release, which is Cline Story. Basically a bit more background to her character, so you're getting two reviews in one, so that's fun. So without further ado, let's look at the cover of Survival of the Fittest. So for the cover art we have the Doctor Who logo there, Sylvester McCoy in Survival of the Fittest by Jonathan Clements. Then we have Sylvester McCoy there, then we have other cast members there. Then we have the 7th Doctor, Cline, and then for the background you can see the frills, sort of hatchery, and there we have a frill there with, I think that's a gun sort of thing there, sort of circle. Then we have full cast audio drama. On the side we've got a red sort of Sylvester McCoy head there. Survival of the Fittest number 131. Then we have the back, what the story's about, and then we have includes bonus 1-part adventure Cline Story, and I forgot to mention Paul McGann's in that, in the Cline's story, which is interesting. I'll go into that later on. So now let's look at the booklet. The booklet, if we open it up, we have behind the scenes there with Sylvester McCoy with a rather quirky tash there. Then we have writer's notes there, and of course it comes with a bonus sort of thing, the companion chronicles, the 3 companions. Then we have the concept art there, Survival of the Fittest. So you can see we've got the frill there. And we've got the next instalment in the Cline trilogy, which is Architects of History. Then we have obviously credits, Cline Story there, and advertisement for Doctor Who magazine, and that shows how old this Doctor Who audio is, because it's got Matt Smith there, which is great. And then we have bio on the characters. So there we have the disc art, and obviously disc 1 we start off with Cline Story, and then we have other advertisements for 7th Doctor audio. So now let's look at Cline Story, then we will go on to the actual Survival of the Fittest. So review. Cline Story is a fun little half-an-hour bonus episode which I enjoyed immensely. It has a huge sort of plot twist in it, with the story itself explaining what was Cline doing before Colditz. So in a sense you don't really need to listen to Colditz, but there are a few little references to Colditz in Cline Story. And I have to say, I really did enjoy it. It shows McCoy's Doctor brilliantly, especially at the end when Cline realises what has happened. It shows McCoy's manipulative side to his Doctor, and Cline's reaction is brilliant when she finds out what happened. And it's got Paul McGann in, as I've said before, and he's brilliant, so you've got to love it. So Cline's Story is a nice little added bonus to this release, because this story itself, Survival of the Fittest, is a 3-parter, so it slots in nicely with us seeing the end of 1,000 Tiny Wings, because we never see Cline and the Doctor leave Kenya, where we see, because they were waiting for the Authority, so we get to see that, and it sort of ties 1,000 Tiny Wings up nicely, and it looks to the future in the form of Survival of the Fittest. So now let's look at Survival of the Fittest. So Survival of the Fittest, it's yeah, I'm not much of a fan of this. I mean, I've looked on Amazon, the story seems to be getting 5 stars, so I must be probably the only person who is not really a fan of it, of this story. The story itself sort of reminds me a bit like of the Web Planet. Maybe that's because of the bug creatures, but there is a few positives about this story, in the sense that it has some great ideas and has a really nice concept and a few twists, you know, like what is the Winterlac, and I think that works, but to me the story just feels quite slow. It's quite a builder episode, you know, the first 2 parts build up, and then part 3, sorry, everything sort of happens. And it's sort of satisfying, but I still don't feel like I get the full enjoyment out of it. And the story, it does feel like a new series type of story. It does have that new series quality, which it's interesting, to say the least. The story itself does introduce a pointless sort of character, a character called Butterfly. Yes, he does have a few bits of, well, he's quite significant in a way, but within like 10 minutes of him being in the story, he's dead. So he's sort of a bit of a pointless character in that sense, and it's weird. But the story, it does have a few good moments, you know, like at the end when the Frill attack, and McCoy gets a few good moments. Cline is good in it. She gets a few standout moments, you know, confronting the sort of exterminator people, I think, who are trying to colonise the world. But the sound design, I will say, is brilliant when the Frill are flying about. They sound like motorbikes, which is great. But overall, Survival of the Fittest isn't a story I'm a fan of. It just seems rather slow and dull, and part 3 really doesn't redeem it for me. It's a good story for the Doctor, and it's a good story to see the Doctor and Cline's relationship develop. But as for a separate story, no, it's a bit of a disappointment compared to 1,000 Tiny Wings. So yeah, a bit of a letdown. Not going to rate it. You'll have to wait for Architects of History. Hopefully Architects of History will be better. Yeah, Survival of the Fittest I wouldn't really recommend, but if you want to get the Cline trilogy, yeah, you'll have to face it. But I may be the only person who doesn't like it. But yeah, thank you very much for watching this review. Join me in my review of Architects of History. Hopefully it's going to be a bit more positive, and I've got to see this again and rate it. That'll be fun. So yeah, join me in that review. Bye bye.